And welcome back to A.R.'s Tales, aka the A.R.T podcast. I am A.R.T, and today, do not let the little name on the box fool you. It is not Tiffany Morris. It's not. It is Anim, Adam, Addo, the heavyweight champion, coming back for his third episode, folks.
That's right.
Third.
That's right.
The OG. This is the month of the homies. That's how we're going to do it. Every episode dropping this October, starting with this one, is the homies. We're doing an homage to the OGs. All right? And we're kicking it off with the heavyweight champion, the myth, the man, the legend, and the motherfucker writing their stories. Anim, Sam, tell the people.
Oh man, I mean, what don't you already know? But I'm gonna go ahead and say it anyway. I'm the author of Ochyin's Odyssey, debut author, and I'm on Amazon. It's on Amazon right now. Go get your copy.
Definitely.
Grab it, read it, do what you gotta do. It's an awesome story. It's coming of age, fantasy story. Very action packed. Very story driven, character driven, cool world. You can also catch me on Twitter if you want to, speak directly to me, or go to my website if you want to get more info on the book and all that fun jazz. And my website is animateworks.com, www.animateworks.com. And then my Twitter handle is animateworks, @animateworks.
Yeah, and definitely you need to check out the website. It's Anim8, like ANIM, the number 8.
That's
works.
Right.
Works the way you spell it,
Yep.
and it mostly anywhere. I don't know if the English spell it differently. They have like a random E at the end of it. You know how they do some weird shit, but
they
be doing some weird shit. But you know how it is. It's Anim8, number 8 works.com. It has everything on there. The man is a problem when it comes to this drawing shit. Truly. Like, if you're at all interested with anything that I did with Allegory of the End, any of the graphics, any of this bullshit, you need to hop on this man's website, give it a quick peruse, give it a quick look-see. You hop on the books, all the links are there. There are so many things that we can talk about, but there's two main things that I want to focus on for this episode. We have talked about this sci-fi idea that you had. We talked about it last episode. So without regurgitating too many of the things that we said before, have you added on to that story? Have you added on to that mythos since then? And if not, what has been the latest kind of like plot building in the back of your head in these last few months?
So for me, a lot of what I've been thinking about is trying to figure out what new ways I can get my story out. So I pretty much grinded that sci-fi story that we talked about. I grinded it to a halt. Like I had all the pieces come together. I know exactly what I wanted to write. So that story had written itself in my head. I just hadn't put it on paper. And so I was thinking of ways in which I can get, ideas out. Cause I feel like with me, I'm always in the search for new ideas, and these new ideas are always coming, out of my head. And I'm like, is there a better way for me to shotgun ideas instead of sitting down and working on one idea extensively, and I was like, maybe we talked before, way back, and you were telling me about short stories and all that. And I was like, you know what, maybe AR was right. Maybe short stories is, the way, kind of like an anthology, put all these ideas together, try to minimize it, and then try to tell what's important about the story in as few words as I possibly can without losing anything, and pretty much that's what I've been trying to accomplish these last weeks is, is it possible? Can I condense these big ideas into a sort of compact but very rich story, into pretty much essentially a short story. And so that's what I've been wrestling with. And I have all these ideas that I have out, and I want to make an anthology, sort of a pack of really awesome short stories and put them together. Kind of Love, Death, and Robots. I don't know if you know that on Netflix.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So kind of like that, but for my ideas, kind of like just hop from different idea to different idea. Now, and within all these ideas, I wanted to have one thing that connected them all, just one little
Yeah.
thing that, strung them all along to make it interesting and stuff like that. And so yeah, so the sci-fi, I like pretty much like I said, like I ground out the idea and then I moved on to another idea that I started began to work with, which kind of just grew naturally into my head. And that story is pretty much sort of like an allegory slash philosophical kind of like take on a relationship between the shepherd, his sheep, and shepherd dogs. And that idea was like, it kind of like just because somebody was singing Baba Black Sheep one day. And for some reason, that idea just took hold. And I was like, you know what, like always there's this stigma of like black sheeps being like outcasts,
Mm.
because that's like synonymous, when you call somebody a black sheep of the family or something like that, usually it tends being like somebody who's like, outside of the
Fresh
family or
as
looking in.
fuck.
Exactly. Exactly. And
Said the
so
black
like
sheep.
right. Right. And so I thought that was like, that was a cool idea to start from, outcasts, because outcasts are always the center of a lot of, fantasy stories, right? And so I was like, that would be cool to take this whole black sheep notion and turn it into a fictional story and build a world around it. And it was kind of like simple because the world is already self-built. If you think about it, you can take the black sheep, the outcast, regular sheep, which are like, the population at wide. You have the shepherd, which represents like the God character, which guides all these sheep,
Or the
to where they
government.
need to go, or the government, exactly, or the government, or whatever authority figure you choose to, put the shepherd in. And then you have the shepherd dogs, which are kind of like angels, or like quote unquote, like, the police and authority,
Mm-hmm.
and so there's already like a world built, on top of itself in an allegory format if you choose to. And then you have the wolves, of course, which is the external threat that the shepherd and the sheep are trying to like get away from. And so like I thought the world self built itself, and so Zootopia was like one of the main things that I drew inspiration from, because that's like kind of like the anthropomorphic ideal of like trying to put all these animals into like form of like society, and like
Mm-hmm.
trying to make them function. And I love how Zootopia did it, because they have all these animals, and like kind of like they attributed what they are in real life, but brought it into like this anthropomorphic like world where they all like react in the way they would
Mm.
in real life, but in that kind of like humane type of like sort of way. And so I was trying to apply the same thing to this story, and so I was giving them all these human characters. And so like you would have these wolves who are like kind of like the barbaric warring faction that are always trying to like get in and trying to like take over the city of the shepherd, and he's trying to run his flock and all this stuff. And so it kind of like just wrote itself. It really just wrote itself. And I thought the idea was cool. And so that's really what I've been working on like the most recently. And of course, the black sheep would be the main character within the story, the main protagonist, and you watch him move along. And why is he, a black sheep, and why, is he an outcast, and what is he trying to do, what is he trying to accomplish, and what his story is about. And yeah, and so that's really what I've been working on lately.
Yeah, like things like that are things that I love a lot. When stories are almost in your face, obvious, kind of like a something else, but you don't actually really see it until you kind of zoom out. Like I wish
Right.
I can think of like the movies or things like that. But there's a short story by Asimov called The
Mm-hmm.
Last Question, which
Uh-huh.
in its essence is written like almost like a biblical psalm, but you
Okay.
don't know that until you get to the end. It's one of those things that it's like that you like when you compare the parallels, it's like, oh shit, it really was. But in your story, I can imagine where it's like the main character is called, I don't know, Jimmy Bobby and whatever the fuck.
Right.
And then like in by chapter 2, somehow his nickname becomes Black Sheep out of something that is just like, complete left field. And it's just like, oh yeah, his name is just Black Sheep, and you're like, oh, okay.
Right.
And as a reader, you just read it as Black Sheep. You're not immediately going to like, oh, Shepherd, blah 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 blah. And in the city, you can make it like Shepherd City or like some derivative of that, like Shepherd City,
Right.
and like you can set everything up like that. And for
Right.
whatever reason, like maybe you can even have it like almost like a Mr. Robot thing, where like the character is like one of those like edgy people that like he literally just sees other people as sheep. Even though they're not, like he just sees other people as sheep, like they're talking like normal, and then it goes into like his vision. It's like bah, 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 and it's just like people doing their bullshit, like I don't know.
Right.
And then there's the whole
so much
like
to be done.
Yeah, or the whole like Animal Farm / Bugs Life / Zootopia aspect of it too. I mean, I've always loved that. I was just thinking about like a joke that I can't remember in what movie it was in, but it was. They set up like a certain insect, I think it maybe ticks, to be like hella aggressive and to have daddy issues, which is hilarious because like ticks, I like their dad. Yeah, their dad is never there. That's the whole thing of like ticks. Like they mate with their dad, and the dad just like dips, and the mom had like probably gives birth to the kids, and like whatever the hell. So the idea,
I did not know that.
Yeah, so the idea that they made the ticks like have daddy issues or whatever insects. If I'm wrong, go ahead and call me up on it. Whatever you want. Good luck finding my number. But with the internet though, you know what I mean? Do I really want to do that challenge? I'm gonna post this. Yeah, by tomorrow I'm gonna get like, hi. What about my auto insurance? How many times have you called me? Now that's odd. This is the first time I've seen this number. But no, but going back to all those stories outside of like the how you're currently progressing, the idea, we've talked about it before. I am a huge lover and advocate of short stories, but when we had originally had this conversation, and I had told you this, I felt short stories just weren't there. For whatever reason, people weren't like hunting out short stories in the same way that they were like crunching through novelizations.
Right,
and we even specifically talked about it. The reason for that was that people like the idea of serialization, right? Yes. They're 100% fine reading like a short story length every week, but like they want it to be connected. Right, there has to be some type of love triangle that's forming, and you got to leave like a cliffhanger and all these things. But this is where it gets awesome. In the time that we haven't spoken, Kindle came out with a new service called Kindle Vella, and now that has been the focus of like a lot of my conversations lately. Have a lot of guests from Kindle Vella because I am just fascinated with that right now, because it truly feels like it's the format for that type of work that we've been talking about, that type of things that we both love. Right, because I love short stories for that reason, that you can read a 2,000, 3,000, even 1,000 word little work, and you get a full story top down, no fat. It's just 100% there, and it leaves you to wonder about like the world at large outside of that. Like, wonder what is this world outside of this main character that being portrayed, or like maybe you do it in a narrative tone, or however you decide to do it. It leaves room for other things, but the story in itself is encapsulated in that one little work. And I mean, there's nothing better than that, right? Because we talked about it before. Like, you, for the most part, know a lot of my world building. We even had an episode that I didn't release because we both ended up dropping mad spoilers on both of our world building. So
we did.
At length where I'm going with all my shit. One thing that I'm really happy about, and I haven't announced or anything yet like that because honestly I have so much like in the backlog, but what I want to get working on hopefully by the end of like 2022 is a short story series, like an anthropology based on more comedic points of view from the world already in. So you have Allegory of the End, and you have the whole parental eligibility center thing, which is an aspect, like a little like sliver of what Allegory of the End is. Now you can then just take that one concept and blow it up into a short story. How is that?
Right.
Or the flower that the kids take, the flower of the universe, like that thing. If it's grown primarily in sector 3, like sector 4 and sector 5, how do the kids get it in sector 3? There has to be a drug trade.
Right.
That's a short story in itself.
Exactly.
How's a drug trade look in a dystopian world like that?
Right.
Is it
it's always about like
there's
taking
always
these
something,
these little nuggets and like being able to like even like just blow them up and full story is just formed, from just this one seed, that a lot of times, like you said, you weren't really like even looking at until like you come across it, or like it come across you, and then you're like, oh man, and then it like kind of like just grows from there. It just takes its own, take a life on itself, and it's always like awesome, just stumbling upon these things, and it's just and that's why it's like, yeah, we definitely need to talk about like Kindle, because
Definitely.
I want to know too, like, because I haven't really looked into it, and I was hoping, because this talk, we
Oh no,
like at least,
we'll definitely clear that up in a second for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Because I want to with this like this new Black Sheep idea, I definitely want to turn it into like a serialized, like just like short form serial, because I think that would be the best way, to kind of like just get it out there, just every maybe 1,000 or 2,000 words, something like that, just put it out, and I think that would be the way to go.
Well, let me drop two ideas on you.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something I actually did start, but I just like dropped the ball on. I had posted these short stories on like Reddit, and they just like didn't like crazy pop, because you know how Reddit is. I mean, and I just dropped in like the wrong subreddits. I really didn't know what I was doing, but
yeah,
I just switched to doing more allegory of the end stuff anyway. So I just like kind of like got lost in the thing. I do want to repost those and like do something with them, because they are a pretty cool in concept. What I did is that I made a serialized short story type of thing based around these two characters within the Banshee Cannot Die universe, which is like the space pirate. I don't know if I had told you that one, but like that whole like idea that's like set in like a different universe from Allegory of the End.
No, I don't think it's talking about.
Well, yeah, it's basically a space pirate thing. I'm not gonna get like too much into it, but like what I did is that within that universe, there's like a whole like basically humanity's kind of blown up, right? Like most of like corporations like the Amazon, the Coca-Colas and shit are now on like Neptune and Uranus, and then like they use like Saturn as like a power generator. Earth for the most part is like for the poor people now, because like everybody like moved on to like the more like advanced civilizations and whatnot. So what I thought is that left kind of like a cool opening type of thing for like a space taxi type of thing, like a person that just like simply like takes people from Earth to like the newer jobs in these like other planets, right? So what I made was like I think it's called the Space Antics of Ashton and Red. And what it is that it's like literally, it's actually like a comedy. I said it to be that like Red is like this black, gruffy, heavy set woman that she's been like a pilot for like almost all her life. She's like been all through this shit, and now she's doing like space taxiing for like shit pay. Know what I mean? And now she's just like miserable because she's done like way harder shit. She's like been in wars and whatnot.
Right.
And then you have Ashton, who's this like little, blonde-haired white kid that's like a nurse and is trying to get to like get one to the planets in order to like help out the refugees there in order for his like doctorate XYZ. Right. So the whole thing of their dynamic is that like Ashton is mad poppy and mad like things. Like the first series, like the way I noveled it basically is that it was going to be seasonal. So the first episode was a Thanksgiving episode called The Turkey. The first thing that comes out of Ashton's writing is that he's reading about how Thanksgiving was back in the day, and he asked Brad, "Oh, what's a turkey? Did it like open something special?" And the guy, and then he goes like, "No, the turkey was like an animal. They used to eat that." And he goes like, "They used to eat animals, like living things. They used to do that. They used to eat people. Like they used to eat like other animals." It's like, yeah, that's how they got like nutrition. You fucking pansy. You know what I mean? Like just like that type of shit. So like so it's like just like that whole thing of like just almost like a cliche type of thing, but then how it develops is just kind of like there ends up obviously like a lot of emotion. And then the episode that followed that was a Christmas episode where they got kind of like stuck on like this random planet. Again, it's more lighthearted with like a little bit more of like a little bit of like dark humor to like appease like to a little bit of like an older audience. But for the most part, how I said is that every story is within itself. It's every episode starts with them like arriving or something, or just like them like saying like a little like backstory of where they've been doing for the last couple months, and then it goes through the seasonal thing, and then it ends with whatever message. Usually it's not going to end on a bad note. I mean, it's a seasonal shit. It's never going to happen. So the way I thought about it is like that is the common thread. The common thread is simply just the characters. The story is whatever the fuck I want to do. So
that is actually smart.
So that's one way that I'm kind of like landing the idea. I was like, maybe you can do the black sheep idea like that. That instead of like the common thread doesn't have to be like a theme or like an underlying like plot or like some like. Although that is cool. I always do like when shows are almost are like anthropologic, whatever. Anthropologic,
Yeah,
is that a word? Anthropomorphic.
I think. Yeah,
Right.
anthropomorphic. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, like
Yeah, I know exactly
when
what
shows
you're
are when shows are episodic, or like when they're not
Yeah.
like they don't derive like a like
You're
a
talking
thing.
like the episode. I thought you meant like the animal. No, the
No, no,
episode
no,
that's
no.
anthological.
Anthological. There we go.
Yes,
Two
yeah.
writers took that long to get to. Really, he knew the entire time. Really, I'm the one with a dunce cap on my head right now. I'll definitely edit that.
You were close.
Later.
The words don't make it easy for us.
Anthological.
They don't make. And yeah, anthological.
Yeah. So like, one thing that I like is when it seems like a show isn't like Rick and Morty's a perfect example. It seems like you can just jump in at any point, but then there's that one little like underlying plot that's like it lets your mind just like go crazy and like make up a whole bunch of theories. I also think that's a really great way of like producing something. But basically that's it. It doesn't have to be like an underlying thing. It just be simply the characters. You can move around, do whatever you want, and I think people like that too, because it's the same reason why you watch why shows like the ER or like the just general hospital or like things like that are so like go on for like seasons, like 30-50 seasons. It's because like after a while what gets people to a show isn't even what's happening, it's knowing the reactions of the characters that you like, right? So you develop a relationship with that character now. Whatever you're, but you develop a relationship with the black sheep, whether you hate him or like him. That's another way too. You don't just have to get people by liking your character. You can make them hate him. And almost like the reading is almost like preying on the downfall. So like however you cash them in, those people are now invested in that idea. So like however you feel like deriving the plot, like people don't care. It's like the moment the situation is brought up, people are gonna be like, oh shit, let's see how Black Sheep handles this one. Think about that. That's why like when like in the prime time of like TV in the golden era, like how the TV show last week on blah 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 blah, blah. And on today's episode, Superman faces Mr. Freeze, like some shit like that. Like you're in the back, like, oh my god, Mr.
Like, oh my god,
how is he gonna get out of this one? That's why I think it like when you already know a character, what intrigues you isn't what happens, it's just knowing or like are gestulating how like your favorite character is going to react to that situation. So like there's so many ways to go up and down with that.
Yeah, there is. There definitely is. And like that's just like I love that space taxi idea. Like that is like so honestly, like I hope you carry on with that because that's a genius idea. Because it's like even if you look at real life, right? And like, in a taxi, there's so many stories that people tell just within that context of driver to, just customer, right? Or the rider. And like, there's people who've made like several shows of it, right? Like, people like, nowadays they have like people sing, taxi karaoke, whatever it's called. And like they have like other
Taxi Cab Confessions. That was like
Taxi Cab Confessions,
remember that?
Taxi, and so like I feel like that in itself, like I don't even think there's been something like that where there's like a space taxi sort of like people telling, a story or just like a back and forth, like sort of like a dialogue between, somebody who's, pretty much transporting people across planets or like, different areas in space and stuff like that. Like to me, that's genius. Like, and you can tell these stories, especially like retrospective to like, planet Earth. And like it's what it used to be and stuff like you said, like things like Thanksgiving and Christmas, and like just taking that retrospective look from other people's point of view, just based on where they're from or where they're going and stuff like that. To me, is genius because you
themes, can't honestly.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't take like this like comedic approach on like just making the laughing stock of like what humans used to do and like
and still do.
And still do, what I'm saying, without really being like being too on the nose, what I'm saying. And it's like that to me, that's genius. Like that's just, and you can explore even just beyond that. You can take it anywhere, what I'm saying, just on space colonization, on what's going on in the universe at that time, or whatever you want to be going on in our universe at that time. What's going on Mars?
We're definitely kin, man.
Yeah,
because like that's literally how I wrote it. So I have a scene that they're in. It's actually funny. I hadn't thought about this. Hand of God like since I wrote it. I really do need to like get the dust off that and do something with it.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, honestly, I'll edit it over the weekend and like send it to you. The turkey one. But
okay,
what it is that like I have a scene that they're in Neptune's port. So like Neptune has like basically a huge like plasma shield over it, and there's like ports all around it that like you kind of like dock at in order for like basically immigration. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they have to go through like an airport basically in order to get into the planet. So they're there in kind of the waiting room, and they're looking down onto the planet. And like in the distance, they see like they call it the twins. So Neptune and Uranus are like considered the twins to the people that live there, because like like the way that they orbit every so often, they just kind of like our orbits kind of like close to each other.
Yeah.
So there's one part that like Ashton keeps on asking about like Thanksgiving, right? That's like one like thing that he was like just like focused on for that episode, just like asking what Thanksgiving was. Just like fascinated by that idea. And then at one point, like Brad just kind of like looks out to the twins, because they just happen to be in the same type of orbit, like Uranus like right there. Yeah. And she was just like, yeah, like back then, like how even what Thanksgiving was isn't like as nice as you think it was. It was like literally Americans coming over and taking the land from people that were peaceful. And then like he looks out to the two planets and goes like, yeah, and we've done it again, referring to the whole idea that like even the reason why humans are on those planets is because they came over to the peaceful aliens, to what we considered peaceful aliens, right, to the locals of these planets, and they offered all the technology. It was like, oh yeah, we've been waiting for you to make contact with us. Like, thank God. Like, here's some technology. Like, we'll help you out. We were just waiting for you. You're down there, fucking, playing with bombs and like I don't even know what. Last time we looked, you were like gorillas. I don't even know what the fuck was going on there. So we just figured, when you felt like it, we talk. And then there they are, and like they do that, and we just do the same shit. We just come over like, hey, nice shit. You mind if we take this? It's like, oh, we can share with you. Okay, share. You mind if we sign this contract though that says that we own this?
Yeah, exactly.
Forever, ever, ever.
Right.
And here's 3 beans.
And they don't grow into giant beanstalks.
They don't. It's just beans. It's just regular beans. It's not even good beans.
No.
Not garbanzos. It's like the weird little like ones with like the
Oh, the black eyed peas.
Yeah, fuck all that. I'm not even a huge fan of Fergie, but anyway. Like I just, that idea was just like kind of like all, because it was just like you can do like derive those type of things, and you can do the same thing for Christmas, like the idea of like what Christmas actually is, kind of like the birth of Christ. You can just like always add those themes and then immediately just like flip it on his head and make fun of it. Yeah, like you can always take like deeper themes and just like flip it right back on his head. And again, that is just one aspect of it. Another thing that I actually am dropping on Kindle Vella, I'm dropping it in October. Is we've talked about it, Iris of Mercy, which is the book that book 2 in the Death of Order saga, right? I'm actually releasing that segmented on Kindle Vella.
Okay.
So
and that's gonna be a closed circuit story, or is that gonna be like
that is gonna be it's gonna be a serialization. So what I'm gonna do with it is like so my thought of it, and maybe this is kind of where it can help you a little bit on your larger themed stories, is that I decided that if I just keep on doing this, like putting this pressure of myself that like, all right, we're going to make this an extreme, epic saga of like a book. And then we're just going to somehow find time to, crank out 100-something-thousand words in between of life. You have your everything that you're doing. I'm, trying to build Neotino up. So like, it's really hard to find like time to do those type of things. Right.
Right.
But I figured, I sat back and was like, all right, well, if I at least build up like a little repertoire, right? I get like, 10 chapters ready to go before I do my release.
Right.
I can 100% at least crank out 2,000 words a week and make make an episode.
Yeah.
Especially if I have that pressure on me of like that due date. I feel like that's the one thing that's annoying too, is that like for as much as you want to write, it's not actual homework. Like there's no due date on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel just like that thing of like, oh no, people need this Tuesday. Just having that little fire like on your ass. Know what I mean? I feel like you'll squeeze in that time a little bit more. So like I drop like I'll have my little repertoire to go before I actually do my release, just in case I fuck up, right? Because I'll also be on vacation as like I'm doing this. So just to make sure I'm not like too much of a fuck boy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, it's just one a week.
Okay.
So, and the book, and it will follow the book exactly how I do it, like the same way that you do your cliffhangers at the end of the chapter, and then it'll lead into the next chapter, and just I'll be doing the exact same way. But instead of me having to do like these rigorous like levels of things, I'll be just releasing it. And the way that Kindle Vella works is that if there is like major editing errors, things like that, people will comment on and help me. I'll basically be building ARC readers and beta readers as
exactly
I'm dropping my episodes. And then let's say that the book ends on chapter 30. I release chapter 29, get all my shit together, close that out.
Right.
But actually put that through an editing phase and then re-release that as a full book on Amazon.
Yeah.
Killed.
Boom.
That's the idea. And
yeah,
like I think that's what Kindle really is like allowing you to do, because it's allowing us to double dip in a sense where people can get the serialization, and if they're that big of a fan, then I think they'll follow you, because now it's like you're watching, it's like you watching the What If series on Marvel. It's like every week,
exactly.
The deal. Tuesday, bow, new episode of Riders of Mercy. Bow, new episode of Ochin's Odyssey. Bow, whatever it is, you just keep going with it. And then when you drop the final book, you do your extra things. You love your illustrations. I love my illustrations. You don't want to gimp out the customer. So like, maybe you add some extra graphics to the books. You add some stuff worthy of having it as a separate product, and then you re-release that. And then you have two options from the reader if you want to read the serialization. And then, just to be fair, you do drop the last chapter of the book after you release the book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just so that if you're that type of reader and you want to just go through and have your serializations, because I think that's how Kindle Vella works, just by the way. So how it works is that you buy a certain amount of coins. Let's say like you buy like 500 coins for X amount of money. I know that right now there's a promotion to get free coins. Like I think 300 or something for free. So if you're listening, hop on that and you can do a whole bunch. Like we get paid the same. That's Amazon giving you free coins. We still get that money. So go ahead and do that. Get your free coins. Spend it on some cool people's ideas. Iris of Mercy coming out soon. I don't know. An idea. Throwing that out there. Hey, I don't know who said that. All right. But
we ain't mentioning no names.
I mentioned no names. A.R.T. But I'm just saying. But in all honesty, that's how it works. And then, like, let's say that you have 10 chapters of your latest work coming out of Black Sheep, the remix, right? You have 10 chapters of that out. So, like, each episode will be 30, 50 coins or whatever. So that's how that's mathed out. So.
So they pay us with the coins, like they buy the store. Okay.
Exactly. So like they buy the coins off Amazon at like a bundle of like 500, 1,000, whatever the fuck, and then they spend the coins on our works per episode.
Okay.
And I believe that it's standardized right now. Like I don't think one can charge higher. Like it's just
good.
It's just episode. Great. Exactly. Exactly. Great. And what's even more interesting right now is that I actually feel like the reason I decided to do this so quickly. I mean, I'm still writing Iris of Mercy. So like the reason I decided to get all my shit together and like make it like a quick release is because I am hearing insane things about it. Like, so how it is supposedly is that there's like this just dropped recently, and supposedly they had like a soft launch. Like they just like told a couple people about it, and like it just dropped. I mean, have you heard about it before I told you?
No.
We're both authors. Like, what do you think about readers? You think people fucking readers know about that if we don't?
No.
So like it was like a soft launch, but supposedly it's like Kindle Vella is like how Kindle Unlimited was when it first came out. That like there's such a low pool of people on there that the people that are on there are getting really good features and like things
it's
for
a good
no
time to hop
money.
On now.
Exactly. It's a great time to hop on now. So for me, that's where my head is at. Like I'm just trying to get some shit out and just like put it on there. Obviously, make sure you have a good product, because there's no point in like coming to market with some rotten fruit. But like, and I'm really just happy with the narrative tone. I ended up rewriting it in an entirely different way, which is just you gotta love when you actually love like the when you're like on your way to work, or like coming back from work, or on your way to XYZ, and you're just thinking, it's like, oh man, I can't wait to have a quick half hour, just bust out a little bit.
Right.
Because you just like love like the narrative tone. But to me, that's where Kindle Vella is right now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited because I think like that's, like I said, like that's that's the best way forward, especially for like writers like us who can, we can just, because we know we can do it, right? That 2,000, that 1 to 2,000 words, especially if we got like that fire in our ass, just sit down, know people are expecting it, write it down, do an edit, send it out, no use, trying to like, sit down and plan out a whole, novel, and hope that, people are going to like, pick it up and stuff like that. It's like, this one you can just kind of like get the ideas out there, write it out. And like, I feel like, who would love this kind of this kind of like a format?
Young people.
Charles Dickens.
Man, you ain't lying. Can you imagine?
Because that's how he wrote.
That's how he wrote.
Original Kindle Vella writer. Because he used to just release his, like, he would write
or Dr. Seuss
and then release. And yeah, Dr. Seuss would love it.
Faulkner, dude. I mean, I'm telling, like, it's limitless, dude. I don't know. I'm telling you, like, it like. And what's even more interesting about it is supposedly from people that are like that tell me and are like doing like decently successful is that like Kindle is actually like the Vela service is actually having like an open dialogue with people. So like you can actually kind of like talk to them about like, dude, can you imagine if we convince them to like allow us to like put GIFs and like illustrations in these things, dude?
Oh my God.
We'll literally womp every like it'll be disastrous, dude.
Right.
And what I like even more about it too is that like it allows you to promote it weekly. So this is the thing about the book. Unless you're a goddamn, I don't even know what. And look, there's a lot of people that do it. So I'm not gonna like I want to be at that level, but I don't know how these people are both fully writing 100,000 words and doing like that. Oh, this book is coming out in XY, like doing that level of promotion as you're doing it. I don't know how the fuck you're doing.
I don't know how they're doing it.
It doesn't math. It doesn't math out. But it seems a lot more like reasonable that I crank out my 2,000, 1,000 a week, and then that Friday I'm like, oh, check out whatever the fuck dropping next Tuesday.
Exactly.
Seems a lot easier, no?
Yeah.
Am I going crazy? Way easier.
No. Yeah.
So that way you just have gradual promotion, and you know how promotions on Instagram work. Yeah, maybe the first one kind of dies out. You get 12 likes. Next one's 15 though.
Right. Exactly. And I mean that's how serialization
that's how it
works,
is.
Right.
Yeah.
It builds over time. And to me, I think like the most interesting part is also it creates a new kind of writer.
Yes.
It's like a whole different kind of writing when you're writing, per chapter or per, episode or whatever, because the editing phase now changes, right? Because once you put it out, that's it. Like, you can't take it back. So you have to build upon it. And to me, that creates a new level of excitement, because it's like your ideas are now out there, and like it's kind of like a build the bear kind of like sort of like way where you have to like keep adding to it and keep adding to it and keep adding to it. And like, it's just, you can't take it back. You can't take it back. It's it. Like you put it out, you can't take it back. You have to like sort of like course correct as you go if there's any mistakes, you know what I'm saying? And of course mistakes are gonna pop out, but you have to like challenge yourself. And like it's a great challenge, especially for us like writers that are like, coming out and stuff like that. Like I feel like it's a great way to challenge yourself to kind of like just write a story, edit, put it out, and like, kind of see how it goes. And to me, that's like also like one of those things I'm excited about, like to challenge myself to be able to like, write these like, short form storytelling, like, and kind of like edit, put it out, and like, kind of like form it as it goes. Like that's very interesting to me.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like maybe it's just almost like a school related type of thing. Because let's say that I had a 4,000, 10,000, whatever the fuck word paper due in like 3 weeks. You think I was working on that until like 1 or 2 days before? Come on.
Yeah.
What are we doing? But then the moment I would sit down,
yep, you're like,
that's how I knew I liked writing. That's how I knew I liked writing, because I had the ability of sitting down and cranking shit out. And then my friends would be like, dude, you're gonna save that for then. I'll be like, nah, dude, I'm telling you straight. I'll get you a better grade.
Right.
And then the moment you sit down, and that's how that formulates. I feel like that's the same way with writing sometimes. That like because you don't have that deadline, like I can tell you my writing for Allegory of the End when I knew I had an editor on my ass.
Oh yeah, it's
buddy, I was cranking out my fucking rewrites. I like like it almost scares me sometimes too, because of when Iris of Mercy, like just recently, Hand to God, and I know you can like relate to this because we've talked about this before, and it's definitely where I want to like cap out on the episode because it's something that I think that it needs to be talked about. Is that like for as much as I love writing, and I can sit here that I like you know fantasizing about it, my last writing session, which was last week, it netted me like I don't even know how many hours I did it, but I only like knocked out like 500 words. It literally. I remember at the end of it, it was one of those things that I was talking to my girl, and I was just like, dog, like,
you thought you had done like so much, but then you look at it, you're like,
am I even in the right thing right now? Did I fuck up? Like, I was an engineer. Like, I had that level of conversation, like, of like, yo, am I like 500 words?
Right.
That's high school shit. Like, that's like a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was just sitting back, like, yo, maybe I fucked up.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking back to like a couple months ago doing my Allegory of the End rewrites. I'm doing like 10,000, 8,000 a day and shifting it while working and doing like everything else.
Right.
So I feel like maybe just having that little fire under your ass and you feel like, you know, the cinches on the fucking ass hairs. You know what I mean? Ooh, shit.
Yeah, exactly.
That is what's good. Like that might make the difference. And just having that like right there and just knowing that people are like, you know, even if it's one person, for the love of God. Even if no one's reading it yet, but just knowing that it's due.
Just know that one person is invested in the story. That's enough for me. Like I just need one person to be like, hey man, I love your story. I want to read the next one. I'm like, bet. I got you. You know, like no problem. Like I got you, one person, Mr. One Person.
And the investment, right? Because think about it. We both knock out a book, right? There is no comment section after chapter 1.
Right.
There's not. If you really like something, that's in your head, and then by the time you get to chapter 5, you forget about it. You're like,
exactly.
I can't even tell you the amount of times that happens that I'll read somebody's work and be like, yo, this shit's fire. I should I'm gonna talk about that on the podcast. And then I'll get to chapter 3 and I forget.
Exactly. This one you can get every every single fraction that you put out,
and where you fucked up
feedback.
And where you fucked up, right? Like that's what I'm most like interested in. It's almost like the gambit. Like if I'm gonna have 10 chapters ready to go, I wonder how much my vision of chapter 30 is gonna change by the time I release those first 10. Right? Because the way you're getting reactions is like, oh, okay, maybe I should ham this up a little bit more and pull this part a little bit back more.
Because you're editing on the go, right? Like you're treating it like how you would write your full-on novel story behind doors, right? Because think about how much changes you make when you're writing your story behind doors, because you have all this time to crank out that whole big ass, fantasy novel, right? I'm telling you. But this time you're putting it out in chapters and you're putting them out pretty fast. So think about it, like when you're writing the novel behind those, like you might even reach like a middle of the book and be like, oh no, I gotta go back to chapter 1 and do these changes. But like this time around, it's like you're writing chapter by chapter by chapter by chapter, like you've already released it. So like by the time you get to chapter 5, chapter 1 is almost like obsolete. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, you've reached at this point in the story, and like you gotta look back and be okay with chapter 1, and at the same time you will be okay with chapter 1 because you've had that feedback and you've had those course correction from all these people telling you what they loved and what they didn't love and stuff like that, and it's awesome, because it's like you get to like write the story along with the people who are reading it almost, because you're getting that feedback, you're getting that constant feedback. So it's like, to me, I feel like I'm excited because that kind of like changes the game a little bit, especially if you can do it right. It's like, it's crazy. It's a whole new form of writing that we don't really think about, unless we're behind closed doors, like a lot of, especially a lot of us. I don't think there's like, a lot of people that are, writing chapters, unless you're on that website that kind of like does
Wattpad and Inkit.
Wattpad, kind of like Wattpad, so that's like
that's what Vela is. It's basically coming in for their next, you know what I mean? That's like McDonald's dropping the pancakes. I hops over here like, what the fuck? You were doing burgers. Shut the fuck up. You know what I
mean? and Amazon always has their own way of doing things, and they have the market. They have the market.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's like that. Like when someone told me that, I'm telling you, like that's where like something just clicked in my head. They were like, oh yeah, And like the person was talking about that they're like making that they were getting like good, decent, constant checks from it, and they were doing no promotions for it. And I was like, you're not doing what? They're like, yeah, it's just not like, didn't seem like it was needed. People seem to be like coming after every week, blah, blah, blah. Like Mad Nonchalant, I'm like, okay, bitch.
And that's good for it because like,
oh, no jealousy. It's more like, oh damn, okay, like that's where we're at right now.
Right. And like that's great, like to hear that, because it's like I'm not like this. I'm not very social media person. Like
yes.
I'm not the biggest like promoter. Like I just want to put a workout and then let people
you're a
read
fucking
it,
artist. I'm telling you, that's why.
Yeah, that promotion part didn't really.
You think Picasso was out in the corner talking about like, yo, look at these fucking eyes, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at those eyes. They look like eyes to you. Look at the fucking sky. You ever seen the sky like that? Fuck out of here, bro. Right here, Picasso.
Yeah. No. So it's like I just want to put work out there and just let people enjoy it. So it's like, to me, this is perfect. Like just crank out work, put it out, see how it goes, and if people love it, bet I got you. I'm gonna put out some more. Like I said, Mr. One Person, I got you. If it's one person, I got you. I'm
even if it's a bot, I'm gonna hook you up, bot. Don't even worry about it. All right, honestly, hand of God, I got you, as long as you give me those 30 coins. Know what I'm saying? Shit.
Hey, it don't matter.
Even if it's my fake account, know what I'm saying? Amazon didn't hear that. Oh, great book, AR. Did you know he also had a podcast? A.B. Mirabout. Yeah. I forgot to switch off, so it's like my name on there. It was like, oh shit, I like tried to delete it, but like Delta just has like a line crossed out. You can still see it, clearly see it. No, but like
one question before you ask. Do you make covers for Kindle Vell? Like, how does that work? Like, do you have to make covers?
Are you asking me personally, or like how the service works?
Yeah, I'm just asking like how the servers
the servers. No, because I thought you were asking like because like Neil Twino did like start doing like covers and shit.
No, yeah, I saw that, which is, I mean, that's no, awesome. I legit people are always in need of covers.
Yeah, I'm literally like looking at one right now that fucking we just made for somebody's Vella.
Nice.
But outside of that whoring myself that I just did right there,
you got mouths to feed.
Know what I'm saying? You've seen my mouth, right? It's fucking see me talk, fucking, you know what I'm saying? But and my dogs, I'm saying,
hey, look.
Okay, beyond kibbles and bits, I'm saying. But what I'm pretty sure you just need one cover. Like I don't think it's like a per episode thing, but again, that's what I was referring to about Amazon being open. Like maybe that's a thing that we can convince them, right? Maybe it's a thing that like there's like one overarching cover, right? Like you make your cover for, like I make my cover for Iris of Mercy. Like I already have my cover for Iris of Mercy, so that's what the cover is going to be. But maybe it can be like a per chapter thing that you add, like maybe like a little symbol, right?
Yeah,
a little something that you can add on top of it.
Yeah.
Because I haven't uploaded anything yet, so everything that I know about is from like that point of view. You know how everything is in life,
right?
I don't know anything. Like I thought I knew everything about Amazon publishing until I published on Amazon, and I was like, all right, nobody told me any of this. Okay,
right.
Like for example, just to drop some knowledge on people. If you put a book on Amazon, it takes about a week for it to actually go. So if you have this idea that you're gonna drop your book on Monday and you release it and you upload it on Sunday, you fucked up.
Yep.
Just to let you know. Yep. Way better to have it uploaded and just like schedule the release.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
You know how that goes. So I'm sure when we actually hop on Kindle Vell, there'll be a different like technicals too, where like different, maybe there is a way to already do that. But from what I know, it's just one simple cover.
Okay. All right. And I mean, you can even do it so that like if you want to write it per like season, so that it can give you time to like work on the next cover. So like write a whole bunch of like episode or chapters, then cap it off at a season.
I do think
cover, and then next season, boom, new.
Now
cover.
I do think you can do that.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, because I do know that's how. All right. So the people I've talked to, they already have, I believe. Get this. I think they have like 70 or 60 episodes of a season, and they just finished their first season, and they're getting like the storyboard ready for season 2, which I think will be releasing in like November, December, something like that. So like that's how they're doing their shit. I don't know how they're doing the release. I mean, for 60, I would imagine they have to be releasing more than a couple of weeks. I mean, that's just mathematical sense if it came out so recently. If the service came out so recently. But the reason why this is all awesome, no matter what the way you think about it, is that I think it is a true future. I think honestly, this will be start phasing out book sales. Like if I predict within 2 years, and glad it's being recorded because if I'm wrong, you can 100% remix this shit and make me look dumb as fuck.
But you can edit it out.
You know what I'm saying?
Edit it out like it never happened. Like,
nope, definitely not. You know this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm not editing that goddamn thing out. What I was thinking of doing is I think in 2 years you're gonna see just a slight drop in book sales, and that mathematical drop will correlate into however Vela goes up. Yeah. So there'll be like a 10% whatever drop, and there'll be like a 20%, 10% increase on Vela. Like I think it's just gonna shift for the same reason. Look at how we consume media. We went from, regular TV being like half-hour, hour specials to YouTube being 15, 10-minute little clips, 5-minute clips. And where are we at right now? We're on Shorts and TikTok and Reels, which are max about a minute long. That's where we're consuming our information. Like that's where people are like tied to. However you want to like say about society about that, I don't feel like having a conversation. Yeah. What I'm focusing on is that is the damn fact that we're on. It's undeniable. So and another thing too is that like even the whole reading thing, right? We're seeing an increase in reading. I love having this conversation with I'm like, out with my friends and whatnot. They'll just turn to me and be like, so like how are you even making money like reading? Like nobody reads. It's like everyone's just like watching videos and shit. It's like, yeah, because that's like your perception of like the internet. Exactly. To you hop on the internet and it's just fucking, I don't even know what the fuck you're looking up, you know what I mean? But like on my side of the internet, like to me, everyone's fucking reading. So like it's just perspective. Writing community on Twitter on Instagram has like how many fucking million followers? Oh my god, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, people are still. I mean, yeah,
dude, I'll try to explain to them that there's people that have like 20,000-25,000 followers that they're not even authors. They read books, motherfucker. Yeah. They read books.
They just read books.
They just read them.
Yeah.
They don't drive. They don't do nothing. My God.
Reading is one of those things.
They have a picture with them smelling a candle, right? God knows why. And then some smelling salts, whatever the fuck they're doing. And then they have like a book in the background for whatever reason. They have like their foot in the air, right, with a book. Yeah, with the whatever the fuck they're doing, they'll somehow fit like a book in their back pocket. Well, like they're asking, hey, listen, you do whatever the fuck you gotta do, but all they're doing is reading the goddamn book. And they have followers that they're fucking a Twitter model, an Instagram model. Who gives a fuck? Well, I don't know. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
And again, that's just how media is being consumed right now. Oh yeah. So you have an increase in reading, and you have a change in how people are consuming content just altogether. If you merge those two ideas together, I think Vela is just like the clear future of what reading is going to be.
Yeah.
If people idea of content that they want quick little snappy bullshits, which is obvious, but people also like reading. I mean, Vela is the perfect thing. You hop on every Tuesday, you got some bullshit. You got a quick, you got your quick thing. And even better is like you don't know when people hop on. If you're one of the OGs, one of the homies, then you're reading it like week by week, biting your face like, oh, when the fuck is Tuesday? Waiting till midnight for the episode release. But most likely you're gonna be like hop on episode 6. So you have 6 episodes to go through if you feel like binging.
And
so
honestly,
that's the beauty.
It is, and it like makes it, especially from like the reader's standpoint, it's like you can pretty much just so easily hop from a book to another book, or like a chapter to another chapter. Like let's say, for example, somebody might be reading A.R. Mirabel's story, and like he's done with that, you know what I'm saying, and he's like, oh, what's next? And then he's like, oh, I can just, hop on Sam's new episode just came out, until I wait for A.R. Mirabel's next week episode to come out. And he would just, keep hopping. It makes it so easy to just digest, these short form, stories, especially like, especially when it's like that easily formatted to like, just, give it out to you. And it's like, to me, that's just, it's kind of like YouTubing, but for books, like you said, it's YouTubing, but for books. It is clear cut. It will be the future of reading. I mean, the
I just got a
trend,
crazy idea too.
the trend is, yeah, I mean, it opens up so much at this point.
Yeah.
It opens up, and this is where we need to step in and just, you know, take it over.
So
like,
that's what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying. I mean, like the thing that I've always said about us, and I don't just mean, you know, no offense to any other guest and anybody listening, but like particular me and you, is that we're generally also artists. Like I'm telling you, you need to hop on this man's website. The man's a beast when it comes to this fucking art shit. I'm not bullshitting you. He's really fucking talented. So like, you know, game peeps game. Like we like, you know, the illustrations are like, I feel like the one thing that we have like on our side, right? That's like things that we have on our writing resume, on top of also like doing everything, like, you know, all the ideas that we had that we encapsulate in like our writing styles and all those things. We also have the illustrations. If we find a way to merge these things, I mean, people love pictures and shit. Like, you know, again, how many Instagram profiles have millions of followers are people that just post. They're not even the artists themselves. They just post some crazy art from other people.
Right.
Millions of followers. They get, you know, they get their endorsement deals or whatever the fuck, and they're not even the artists. They're just people pumping out the art from other artists.
Right.
So again, people like this shit. If we get it and you know, it's marketed in the right type of way, the sky is, you know, I mean,
it's the
sky's the limit. But this is where it gets a little bit crazier. And this is what I was thinking about. Imagine having guest writers on. So imagine you have, let's say that we're again, so this is a little bit more in the future. So let's say that we're both on like season 2 of some shit, right? Yeah. So, you know, we're doing our weekly promotions, you know, the comment, you know, we have some people on the comment section, like we have our little bit of a following, right? Imagine one week we go, it's like, oh, I'm doing a collab, so like fucking like, you know, I hop on an episode of
crossovers,
exactly, yes, author crossover. God. You've never heard of this shit. That shit's not happening in novelizations. That can't happen.
No,
but that happens all the time on like fucking, you know, General Hospital or even Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad will be directed by random fucking people one episode, and you're like, oh shit, how's that happening? Imagine this shit. Imagine you give me your plot line of how you want episode whatever the fuck to happen, and I write that for you. And then I give you the plot line of how I want whatever the fuck to happen, and you give me that bullshit. And then we know we give it to each other. We can rewrite it in a certain way, but you know, we don't like hamper each other's like styles.
Right.
And release it.
Oh my god. Yeah. That'll be amazing.
And now this is where it gets crazy, because the thing that I love the most about that is because one, I mean, it's just phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
That's a cool idea.
That is a great idea.
Right. But this is where it gets crazy too. And it gets me excited. You know how I am about like this, like fucking like making sure that we all grow up with each other. Know what I'm saying? Right. I'm not about unstepping on anybody's shoulders. I'm trying to fucking, you know what I'm saying? You know that. Facts.
Elevate the.
So imagine that, like, let's say I have my following, you have your following, and now we get to fucking hold hands.
Oh my god.
Right? The people that goes, it's like, yo, it's basically me saying, it's like, yo, I respect this man's like style so much that I let him write a chapter of my shit. Meaning, if you fuck with my shit, fuck with my man's shit.
Right.
And then vice versa.
And we both get this crossover of like both, like, you know, both readers, you know what I'm saying? Because they're gonna want to hop on to see, you know, your work written by me, and your readers are gonna want to see, you know, you working on my stuff, and it's gonna be like they all just gonna kind of like intermingle at one point. That's just you know, that's just great. That's a different way of promoting right there, like a new way that doesn't go outside of the medium itself. Like you're still working within the medium and promoting at the same time, and it's like, yeah.
And again, I think that's just like such a, like, I remember when I was a kid, that's type of shit that I would never pay attention to. Like I remember like the opening scenes of like a TV show or a movie were just like things I would block out. And then until the show started. But now that I value that type of things, it's things that I watch out for. It's like so interesting when I watch, like I put on an episode of, you know, Malcolm in the Middle or whatever the fuck, and the directors are Joe Russo from the Marvel movies. It's like, wait a minute, they directed Malcolm in the fucking Middle?
Right. You're like,
that shit's fascinating, no?
Yeah.
So it's like just like imagine being able to hop on. Let's say that, like, you know, let's say that like a person hops on and they read Ochin's Odyssey, and they hop on Allegory of that, like, you know, they hop on Eyes of Mercy season 2 episodes 9 written by S.animaddo, and you're like, wait espérate. I didn't know we were doing this.
Right.
And vice versa. Like I don't know. it's one of those things that I just the moment you just said that thing about like how like the different ways they can go, I was like, oh shit, yeah, you can do like
dude,
guests.
yeah, dude. I mean,
That's crazy.
yeah,
That's good.
that is nuts.
Yeah.
That's nuts. I mean, oh my god.
So you're
Yeah, it's
right. So
this
you
is
heard it
it.
here first, folks.
You heard it. You heard it here, folks.
You know what is coming soon. 100%
Oh
doing this
my
co-authoring
god.
shit. And you know what I love about it too is that it can be a
What?
pool. Like the more people that we add onto it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say that we add like my co-host onto this shit, and then we
Mm-hmm.
add like John Mill, like you've talked to him on the podcast before,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
We add those four, right? And not even, and we just cap it at those four for now.
Right.
That in itself is just bananas numbers.
Oh my god, yeah.
Bananas numbers. Let's say that, you know, we all have 50 followers, right? We all do that math. Now we all have like about like 100, because you can't expect you can't expect 100% conversion.
Kind of, yeah.
You can't expect 100%,
yeah.
but that's at least doubling your shit. Just like people hopping on, you know, I read an episode, Jamil does an episode,
Oh my god.
Oh
and
my
people
god.
love crossovers these
people
days.
Love crossovers,
dude,
dog. That's the whole thing.
Man.
And on top of that, I think it's so fun depending on how you do it. Because all right, so let's say that I don't do that I don't do the crossover for Eyes of Mercy, but I do it for like the space cap antics of Ashton and Red. Imagine I drop that script on your head. It's like, all right, you go ahead. And honestly, I wouldn't even give you a script on that one. I'll be like, hey, listen, these are the planets that are inhabited. It's a perfect
episode to
exactly.
Just, you know,
these are the characteristics. These are the planets that are inhabited. These are the small little things in between. Do whatever the fuck.
And I think like stories like that is the best.
Best
way to do those things.
Yeah,
you can give like the author free reign to just like kind of like just take on an episode and just take the characters that are already there because those are already established, and then you know write a story about it. Like it's just like that's great. Like,
that's why shows like Malcolm in the Middle and ER and General Hospital can do that type of shit, because they're not like that. So you can just pass it off to anybody, and it's like, all right, well, you know the characters, you've watched the show. Right, or Law and Order. People always do that. Quentin Tarantino directed a random episode of Law and Order, like how many years back. He just felt like it, and again, same thing. It's like, these are the points. You do whatever the fuck you want within them. And dude, I think that's gonna be amazing. And again, it's just a different writing style. So like, I'll pass it off to you. You do your sci-fi fantasy shit. Let's say that we pass it off to we add Lori into the group, who's a romance author. So we give our sci-fi shit to a romance author. What the fuck is she gonna do with that, dude. Dog? I'm telling you, it's limitless, dog. Like, just my God. And they just add, and like, you know, let's say that they add shit that you actually like, because for the most part, it doesn't have to be canon. No offense. No. But let's say that like in your episode, you introduce like this love triangle between like one of the characters. I could just let that go for a next episode if I don't vibe. Right. No harm, no foul. Let's say I do like that, and now that's the thing that I progress on. It's like, oh damn, good idea, good looks. Right, exactly, yeah, exactly, dude. It's limitless. I love that shit. Dude, it's this. I mean, this could be so amazing. Like this will be amazing. Yes, will be. No doubt in my fucking mind. Again, it's just it's pen to paper, and this leads on into the last thing that I want to talk about. Because we're approaching that episode again, man. Yeah. We're already over, but it just felt like 10 minutes of the conversation so far. Every time, I'm telling you, the man, the myth, the legend, and the motherfucker writing it. Odyssey's Odyssey, animaddo.com. The episode's not over. I need to plug this man whenever I can. Now that sounded wrong. But we're gonna leave that there. If you feel like editing it, do what you got to do. I'll 100% will laugh. We will leave it up to the viewers. Exactly. I'll think it's pretty funny too. Yeah. But it's something that we've talked about before, and it's the whole idea. To call it writer's block, I think is unjustified. I feel like especially when you have like my idea of writer's block is like what we've always seen on like the movies, right? Where a person sits down, they're in like a nice loft in England. Right, they're sitting down, they're fucking like making coffee, their assistants like running around in the background, they're just like, I don't know what to do. Right? And like they're just like sitting there for hours and like trying to knock something out. Yeah, I can't say that I'm at that level. If I sit down, even if it is that 500 words level, I'm at least happy. Yeah, I'm happy with that 500. It's like, you know, it's a 500 that I know at least I don't have to like edit it 1,000 times, because that's what I did the entire time, just rereading fucking 500 words, right? Right. But what my thing is, or something that we've talked about, is almost like a more time thing. It's like a more like a life thing.
Right. Yeah. It's more a life block than a writer's
Yeah,
block.
it's more a
You know.
life block where it seems that
Yeah.
you like where almost you can't win. And again, it's like I think it's me and you very are on like the same wavelength about it because I think we both treat this like it's like an art, right?
Right.
Like there's a lot of people, and again, I'm not knocking, and if anything, this is the point that I should be at. To treat it how it should be as a more of like a job. Like I have to write
Right.
X amount every day, even if it is at just 500. Um, and that's how it goes. But the thing is, on my end with like how you think, but how you with your work, it really is like a division. It's like any
Right.
hour that I'm writing is like any hour that I'm not netting,
Right.
or I'm not doing something that's gonna like pay my bill.
Exactly. Yeah.
So where does the limit come from? And then of course it's just like a draining type of thing where it's like let's say that one week you do it, you're like, you know what, I'm gonna knock it out. You write your
Right.
10,000 words bet, and then because of that thing that you've now done, you're now kind of like a little bit behind of the next week. So now you got to make up that 10% that you just like created the void of
Right.
last week, and now 3 weeks later you haven't written shit. It's
Right.
almost like when you haven't gone to the gym in a long time and you hit it really hard,
Oh my God.
and
Yeah.
then you're
Your whole
sore, and then you
body.
hit the gym again for like a
Yeah.
while.
Exactly.
So like it's almost like this like idea of like almost feast or famine.
Right.
So I'm sure there's a lot of people that can relate to that. So like, how do you think? And again, there is no real answer to this, but like, how do you think that we can like get over that? Like, like what do you think are like the honest like solutions to that? Because I think it's like something that plagues honestly a lot of us. I think anybody can relate to this. Even the people that are successful, they're not like I can't imagine that like most indie writers, especially the ones that we've talked to that like we're friends with, are cranking in $10,000 in Amazon sales a month.
Right.
So I think it's something that like, a lot of us can relate to. Most like just about everyone that I know has like has daytime jobs, and a whole bunch of, if not more than one,
Right. Right.
right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly. Um, I mean, to me, there is no one way to try to like kind of like get out of it or kind of like unblock yourself per se. Um, for me, it's also comes down to the individual, right? We got to take that into account. And personally, what I usually do is I'll either start working on another idea and see if that idea kind of like, makes me flow into the work process better, then that's a way of like litmus test to see that if maybe the story that you're writing currently is what's blocking you
God, I'm telling you, you're my
and not
twin.
like hey,
You're my twin.
hey,
I do the same thing. It's the Einstein test. Like he always said that at any time that he would get like really caught up on something, he would just do a derivative of it. Like if he was
right,
like cranking out like on an equation and just like sitting on it and like couldn't
right,
like get it, he would like, all right, well I'm gonna go fucking take a walk, do like a bike ride, do something that is just on like on the opposite end of it, or maybe just work
right.
on like some
On
math
a diff
shit
right,
on a different
exactly.
equation, just like
Right,
and that'll
exactly.
jog my head and just like allow me to like be in the area of where I'm trying to work, but not thinking of exactly what I want to work, like what I was like focused on and like not being able to do. And then just me
Exactly.
being in that space
Right.
will allow the other to come a little bit more, like more easily.
Right, right. And so it's one of those things. Yeah, it's just trying to find ways around it. It's one of those things that it's not definite. I think it's one of those things we don't need to treat it as if like once you're in the block, it's kind of like that's a wrap, right? You just gotta wait for another day to like kind of get the inspiration to come to you. No, I feel like it's those things with the inspiration is always there. It's just somewhere else. You just need to go and find it, sort of situation. Like it's not present at the current thing that you're working on, and the inspiration never goes away. I think there's several things that can always like kind of like juggle that, like, that form of thinking. And so for me, like, yeah, I'll usually either try to work on something else or take a break from it and do, like you said, do something totally unrelated that
Do
sometimes
some
can help to,
drawing or some shit like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that can kind of like, come back around and help you, come back to it and kind of like look at it differently. And also sometimes maybe it's just you just need a break. It's a life block, like we said. Sometimes it's just life is just everything outside of writing is what's preventing you from, chugging it at the, at the story that you're doing or something like that. So sometimes it's just that you just need to figure out, some things in, your actual personal life. And I feel like those are, the symptoms, we'll call it the symptoms to writer's block. Because I feel like we both don't believe like there is such a thing as writer's block. It's just everything else that's blocking you from writing. Yeah, it's just outside of writing that kind of impedes you.
Yeah, because like even when you have that like moment, that movie moment, that like at least the most similar that we can have at this level, where you're sitting down and you have time to write, and you're just like, ah, fuck, it's like, it just like feels like the energy's not there. Even then, why is the energy not there? Is it because you're not into writing? Doubt it. It's probably because you're truly focused on something that you're actually stressed about, and like you're almost like you're treating it like you're in school. Like, all right, when is this period over? When can I go? Figure out what the fuck I want to do. I'm kind of tired. I want to watch like an episode of some bullshit, eat, take a nap before I got to go to the gym. You know what I mean? Like your head's not there. It was one of the things that helped me diagnose it, like like what I was pitching about before, like 500 words on a day versus like the 10,000 I was doing for Allegory of the End, and it was just like did I somehow lose my mojo? Right? I'm having like the whole Austin Powers 2 thing. It's like, oh shit, I lost my mojo. I got to go find the vial, right? But like, the mojo's like there. It's not that. What is truly lacking is that you had like that. What I figured is that when I was in my true writing mode, I was in my world, my dude. Like I would come and deal with society. Like I would have to come out of it.
That come out, yeah.
You know what I mean? But I was there. Like what? Like that's where my head was always. Like wherever I was writing, that's where my head was. And I could just pick it up. It was like, all right, so we were here. They were last doing this. Like how can I best portray this? Because even if you have the story 100% laid out, it's different from writing it, right? You have to like think about like the almost camera angles, the same way you had to think about like a TV show, where like, all right, what's the first scene gonna be of? Where's the like who's gonna say the first voice? The first line has to be like popping. Has to make the reader want to read the chapter. So what's that going to be? The last line has to be popping. So you read the next chapter, and you have to fill it in between. So there's like a good like ebb and flow of conflict and resolution to keep the thing going. So as you're doing that, that's when I realized that's what my best writing was. And what I realized when I was doing like the 500 days, that I would have to go into my world, where I would be focusing on everything else, like the covers, dealing with clients, XYZ, running around to do all these different promos and like whatever the fuck. And then I would have to psych myself into the world. And that's where I realized that I was fucking like just getting hampered on. And for any people out there that like, this happens to anybody. I left my job to like fully pursue the Neo Tino thing. And while that does, there's a lot of other things that actually like take up my time to generate like things as everything is building up. I thought this was the solution for the writing problem, and it really isn't. All it did was like transfer of energy. That's all it was. It left a lot of openings for like the writing, but in the essence, I still have to fucking I still got to wake up early to do a little bit of stock trading. I still got to like it's the same shit, but just transferred. Even the things like the podcast, right? You would think that would be like dumb, crazy easy, and believe me, it is compared to like regular work. But like on a busy week, I'm doing at least 10 hours of recording, and that's not counting anything I'm doing for editing, or anything that I'm doing for the promo wise, and anything I'm doing that, and that's like just hours. Like that's on top of anything else that I'm doing. So imagine adding like 10 hours to your regular work week. And again, I'm not like, playing a violin here. I love doing this shit, but it's just, it's the consumption of time. So it can really happen to anybody. It's not like a measure of time. It's more like where your headspace is at. So I guess like that's going to have to be the takeaway here. Because there is no answer.
And also, I mean, I feel like challenging yourself too, like you said, is also key, right? You need to find ways to put challenges in front of yourself to also kind of like motivate you to, kind of like get into that space. Especially for us when we've like both put out our first book, there's a lot of energy. I feel like energy that went into that coming out of it, it's also pretty hard, right? Because like I know for me personally, after I wrote Ochin's Odyssey, like there was a lot of energy that went into Ochin's Odyssey.
A lot.
So like, coming out of that, and having to go on to it again, it's like, it's not easy. It's not easy because you put a lot of energy and effort into it. So it is also that part of it too. That's like, you kind of like have to like, challenge yourself to get back into it, because it almost feels like, a form of exhaustion almost, especially for us, like us pretty much like independent authors, like it's one of those things, like you have to challenge yourself. Like there is no gatekeepers, like they're gonna come tell you when when this is due and stuff like that. For them, they have that, like those authors who are with publishing companies, they have people on their backs telling them when this stuff is needed, so they have to like kind of like sit down and crank this stuff out. So that's to them, that's their challenge, right? That's the challenge that they have to meet. And so like for us independent authors, I feel like we have to create our own challenges, if we want to treat it as one of those things that we want to do on a consistent basis.
Yeah. My God, that was so well said. Yeah. Damn, that was really good. Man, there are so much more things that I want to talk about, but we really are significantly over.
Pushing it.
We are pushing it up a hill, folks. But that is what it takes to get good writing. And on top of that, I mean, like I think we cleared some. This is a really good recording on my end.
Oh,
I mean, this was awesome. Covered, I mean, we covered what the future of writing is going to be. We covered like some different things. There are so many things I want to tell you personally, honestly, about like the different like narrative tones that like we're going through. But we'll leave that up in the air. For now, you already know what is coming. Right. The man is dropping a short story anthology, TBD, but I guarantee you when it releases is going to be awesome. Animateworks.com. Hop on, look at the man's illustrations. Ocean's Odyssey, it's all on Amazon. Pick it up.
You should.
Do what you need to do with that. Go ahead. What were we going to say?
No, I was sorry, my bad. I was gonna say I still haven't decided whether it's gonna be an anthology or a series. I'm still debating on that. But it's Kindle Vella, we're coming.
Kindle Vella, we're coming.
We're coming.
That's what the tagline is gonna be for this episode.
Yep.
We're coming for that ass. Stop bullshitting me. Yeah, all right. My shit dropping October. His shit dropping TBD. You need to read both of them, and then I promise you, within a year or two after that, we're doing this crossover shit.
Oh my God, it's happening. The crossover is happening.
That's happening. The only reason I say there'll be a year after is because I feel like I do need to at least wet my feet into like how Kindle.
Oh yeah, we need to establish ourselves a little bit.
Know what I mean? Like we both have our individual shit, and then
exactly,
because that's how we get the crossover shit. We'll both have our own little following, and then we hit the fucking Wonder Twin button, right? Form of bestseller. And then, and then we do our shit.
Hey, that's how it's gotta happen.
That's how it's gonna happen.
That's gotta happen. Yeah, that's how it's gonna happen.
Exactly. And the fact that we both can do illustrations, like, can you imagine if, like, for the promo of our crossover, I illustrate one of your characters, you illustrate one of mine?
Oh my God.
Because we both have different illustration styles too. At that, I mean, just.
Oh my God, yeah, it'll be just, yes,
beautiful, gorgeous, beautiful. And with that, it's going to be the end of the podcast. This has been A.R. and my man to the left or right, depending on how the video feels like rendering it. It always switches on me. S.animaddo, the heavyweight champion. I'm telling you, coming back for his third episode, the OG. This man was the second person. No, the first person. I would say second because he was the second episode, because the first one I did alone.
Yeah.
First guest on this podcast, the OG, not just AOG, the OG. That's why we're kicking off the month of homies with this man. Again, Ocean's Odyssey. I cannot promote it enough. Animate works, and just like the website itself. Like I remember I told him on a very first episode, his website, I based my website, like the style off of it. Cause like it's just, I don't know what it is about it. That website is just slick. I remember when he told me about it, I was just like, damn, what? I need to hop on that. Like, after I had my episode, my website came up a week after that. I don't think there's any better compliment. That's like saying that I read your book and now I'm an author. It's like, damn, shit, okay.
Right, that you did. I mean, that's
you know what I mean?
The best compliment I've got for it.
Yeah, it was. it's
much
I'm telling you,
appreciated.
to this day, it's like clearly in my mind. Like I know exactly how it looks like. It's an awesome website, mobile and thing. I don't know why I'm hyping this website up so much, but I'm telling you, I don't know why. I fucking love it. Hop on it. Look at this man's illustrations. Way worth it. Just support the man. You know what's coming to you, and be fucking prepared. Kindlevella, I'm telling you, there's a bullseye on that neck, and I'm fucking slinging 3 arrows right at that bitch.
Oh yeah,
all right.
we do.
Not bullshitting. Cannot wait for this. And again, it's like we've talked about it before. I'm so happy that like we're starting off the October month, the same month that I'm dropping my first Vela shit with you, because we've had this conversation when we first met, how much we love short stories and that type of writing, and the fact that we finally have a venue for it, buddy.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Coming for that neck. So
yeah,
again,
I'm gonna try to match you up on the date. So when you say October
24th.
October 20. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll try to match you on that date. You know.
Oh, and drop you first.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to see if I can drum up at least a couple of chapters by then. That way I can just I would say
at least 5. I'm shooting for 10
5,
just because like I'll be on vacation, but I'm definitely shoot for just like a little repertoire, because you never know how the week goes.
Exactly.
That's the main thing. Like my logic is like it's more than fine to like delay it, but it's not going to be fine to miss a week. That's where my head's at.
Yeah.
So definitely. And maybe even just like set it like a little bit later in the week, so like give yourself leeway. Know what I mean? Like on
definitely.
Wednesday, Thursday type of shit. Who knows? But that's the end of the podcast. Again, not Tiffany Morris.
Yeah.
Sam. Check the man out. Instagram, Twitter, all the information will be in the bio. It will be in the banners. It'll be anywhere you need to see it. Check out the man's work. Peace out, and check with us next Monday for another chapter of the month of homies. Peace out.